Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being part of this webinar today. And today we're going to touch on a couple of little areas which are an exclusive preview for the latest April update that was released. And we'll have Garima with us to do some of the presentation and so forth. So for those that are in Melbourne, like myself, we're going to enjoy another 7 days of lockdown. But the good thing is we've got an extra reason to leave house. So that is we can go and get ourselves vaccinated, but you can't get in because there's too many people, which is all interesting. But look, again, thank you very much for being part of this webinar. So we might as get started. So my name's Dennis Della Costa. I've been at Professional Advantage since 1999. So what's that make it? 22 years and so forth here at Professional Advantage. So I'm one of the part of the furniture here, but I've seen a lot of changes happen since we first started at Professional Advantage and the way we've grown as an organisation, but also a lot of changes in the whole technology market from on-prem, my age, I'll give away my age, from mainframe, them to desktop, and now to the cloud, and it all becomes a little bit confusing as we go through all these different technologies and so forth. But one thing I can say is, and knowing what is happening in the marketplace, and I can see what's occurring slowly and what has occurred in the past, it is good to be on a platform provided by one of the global leading organizations in Microsoft, and some of the stuff that they're delivering today and what they're planning to deliver in terms of their total integrated platform is something that won't be matched by any other vendor moving forward. But Garima will touch on some of those little areas through that process. So I know some of you people that are on the attendees, as we've seen, but we'll keep going through that process. We have presenting today, doing most of the presentation, will be Garima Modi. Garima is one of our senior Business Central consultants. She will touch on most of the presentation, and we'll go through that today, and she'll touch on a couple of the points that came out of the update in April and so forth through there. So just an overview for those that might have jumped on this webinar and not know exactly who Professional Advantage is, because you may only be dealing with a smaller number of people within our organization. Professional Advantage today is probably 250 plus strong in Australia. I'm from the Microsoft division, as is Garima, and we probably about 170 of us work in the Microsoft division. And we also have offices in the US and the UK. We've got about 20 plus people in the US office and similar in the UK office. And those offices sell our intellectual property through the Microsoft channels. So things that we've developed on the Microsoft platform that helps enhance our customers through that process there. And today we support over 1,000 odd mid-market customers in Australia. And some of you guys are on this presentation today, and some have been with us for a long time through that process there. In terms of what we do, we talk about the Microsoft technology stack, and Professional Advantage is one of only a few that can deliver the total stack of technology. We have a very strong business intelligence division, which is around the Power BI platforms and data warehousing around Microsoft and so forth. Business process management software, corporate performance management software, budgeting, modeling, corporate reporting, when Excel becomes a little bit unmanageable. CRM is another large area of Microsoft. We have financials and ERP, which is today we're going to be looking at the Business Central product, SharePoint, intranet portals, collaboration, and then obviously all the IT infrastructure, Microsoft 365 and so forth through that process there. So with the Microsoft Cloud, this is what we were talking earlier, where I've seen that how it's evolved through that process. And Microsoft talks about the 3 clouds. And the 3 clouds being Microsoft 365, which probably a lot of you people are on Office 365, SharePoint, and so forth along that path, Teams and whatever. And one of the presentations Garima will touch on how integrated Business Central is with Teams and how it's been used with Teams, and especially last year, 2020, it became very important in the sense that most of us were working remotely, and how do we work in that area? That's the Microsoft 365 cloud, which ties up with the Microsoft Dynamics 365 cloud, and that's where their business applications sit. So Business Central, one of the business applications. Finance and supply chain management is the tier 1 ERP system. Microsoft Customer Engagement, which is the CRM with the associated apps through that process there. And it's all driven and it's all powered by the Microsoft Azure platform. So you could see how it all ties up now within an integrated stack of product through that process there. Go through here, we just click through this process here. Business Central, for those that a lot of people know about Business Central because you're using it at the moment, but it is a full ERP solution. So we cover the areas of finance, supply chain, sales and service, operational, warehouse management, and so forth through that process there. So it is a full ERP application and one of the leading ones now in the global marketplace on the cloud for mid-market through that process. And also, obviously, we can work within the different Office applications. So if you want to start Business Central within your Outlook, you can. Today, we will talk about how we use Teams to interact and integrate with Business Central. But there are other areas of the whole Word, the whole Office suite and so forth, which we touch. And also it's agnostic in terms of we can use any device, any operating system to access the Business Central platform. So what we might do now is we just put a little poll question up for people who are on the call. If you could just give us a quick poll, we're just wanting to see whether it's yes or no. And so, look, the question was, have you gone through the recent update of Business Central, the April update? Have you updated your application for that? And what we see here is that 57% of applicants have said yes, they have, and 43% have said we have not yet taken down the update from Microsoft for our Business Central area. So that's okay, that's fine. If you need any assistance in that area, contact your account manager and they will be able to assist you in getting to that point where you're now upgraded to version 18 of this application through that process. Today's topics that we'll touch on, Garima will touch on working with dimensions and what Microsoft has done enhanced in this latest update, the bank reconciliation and so forth through that process in terms of the undo, some of the new features that's come along through there. And then Garima will work with how does Business Central and Microsoft Teams now interact with each other and how do they support each other through that process there. So what I might do now, I might pass you over to Garima and she'll become the presenter now and take us through for the major part of this presentation. Thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna, as Dennis mentioned, touch base on working with dimensions. What are the new features out there in that area? Have a look at a walkthrough of bank reconciliation, the undo feature, and there's a little one that has come up. I would say that's a small surprise, matching details one. I'll show you that too. And how we can integrate our Teams and Business Central and be in one screen and do the job. Starting with the first one, working with dimensions, the new aspect. Now, I would say that we all know presumably that dimensions have been one of the core functionalities of Business Central because it does help us to slice and dice our chart of accounts in many different ways. So let's now straight away dive into the first subtopic of our new feature, which is a multiple selection on our code mandatory, which we would see now applying on one of our chart of account advertising. So I'm now going to go into my chart of accounts in my Business Central screen and focusing on advertising because that's my favorite, I would say. When I'm here, you see my GL account card. In order to apply the default dimensions with which we would be demonstrating the feature is I'll go to account and click on dimensions. Now you can see that it's already set up here, but I'll quickly set up for you in front of you to see how that works. Now, in my default dimensions with respect to the advertising chart of accounts, the default dimension code I'm setting up is for a department dimension, and my value posting would definitely be code mandatory. The reason is I want to set that up against two particular allowed filters. You see this column, if you have seen this page before, this is something new that is visible right now to you, allowed values filter. Once I click on this one, you see I have got the list of the dimension values with respect to my department dimension. And it has given me a checkbox. What it does is it tells me that am I allowed to use admin, production, or sales whenever I'm using my advertising chart of account or not. For an example right now, let's eliminate production and just consider using administration and sales. I'm the finance controller, so this is what I want my staff to do. So I have set that up, pressing OK. Now you see here, it tells admin and sales are the allowed value filter. And we leave the dimension value filter blank because our value posting is code mandatory and we have multiple selection to be selected or allowed to be selected. Okay, now we have done our basics. We have got all our setup here. We are now going to go and have a look at what happens at the journal level after I have made this default setting. So I'm going to come out of my default dimension area, come out of my GL account card, and I've done my job being the financial controller. Hey, okay, I want my staff to enter that to dimension only, nothing apart from that. Okay, going into staff mode now, changing modes, changing roles. I'm going to create a general journal here. I can even apply that on invoices, but for our example right now, let's talk about what will it do in journals. I'm going to go in my default batch. That's my default batch. And you can see that my department is sitting here. I'm going to create a line and I'm going to post it as well. Let's see what it has to do with our journal. My posting date is today. I have my document number ready there. GL account is, again, as I said, my personal favorite advertising, because that is what I have to record my amount against right now. And that's $741.65. Happy there. Doing a balancing of activity, just whatever. And our star part to apply. Now I need to apply that one because that's what have been advised by my boss. Let's do it. I'm going to apply dimension in here, which is admin. Sorry, I'm going to apply dimension production. I know that if I go on other side of the spectrum, I myself has not allowed to do that, but now I'm being the staff and purposely applying that on production. Let's see what it does if I'm applying it on that particular dimension value. I'm going to do a preview posting. Aha, have a look at this. It has given me error. The reason is that I'm not allowed to use this value against this chart of account with my department dimension. That means that the settings which we did few minutes ago has not allowed us to use this particular department dimension here. Okay, I have corrected my mistake. Let me do it at administration and try and post it. I believe it should allow me to. Here you go. I see my ledger entries created up here. It looks good and clean. I'm going to go and post this particular line now. Yes, please go ahead and do it. Alrighty, gone from here. I'm going to go in my general ledger. Entries. And have a look what has happened out there. Alrighty, so you see the first line we just created has gone into our ledger correctly. We got it recorded against administration and it's all correct there. But hey, I just got told off by my boss, which I always do. Anyway, what should I do? I need to do to correct my mistakes. Now that's our second part of the new feature that Business Central has provided us is correcting the mistake in dimension. We can correct our dimensions after posting it. So we see our general ledger entries here on the screen, and we have the ability to correct our mistake. And how do we do that? A very new, brand new feature, and it's my personal favorite, let me tell you. Because, yeah, making too much mistakes is something that we do. So let's correct it now. So you have to go in entry, correct dimensions. And because I have already highlighted and selected my line, that will be the line picked in and available for me to correct my dimensions. Alrighty, it's here. You see dimension correction changes. That's my screen. It's a draft correction page. And you see selected ledger entries. That means it tells me which entry has been selected. So I can do that double checking up here. Because this was meant to go to sales, not admin, I have to come in here where it clearly says new dimension value code. This is my old one. This is my new one. I select from the drop down list, select sales. You see how once I have done that, I can see it has reflected it as a change against the particular dimension code. However, I am also told that I have to select a business group, which I forgot to select when I was entering my journal. And let me record it against office. You see, there is a blank here. The reason is that we didn't have any old code. What we are doing here is adding a dimension. So in this page, you can correct the dimension and you can add the missing dimension that you might have forgotten before. So I'm doing the change, adding it. I'm happy with where it is applying. Let me go and apply it. I'm going to go in my run. I have the ability provided by Business Central to schedule it, but I'm going to do it literally right away. I don't want to schedule it for later. So run immediately to see the effect. Press OK. It says it has been scheduled, but it will run immediately, as I said. But you might be wondering, you can't see that change here, isn't it? That would be reflected when you refresh the page. So when you refresh the page, which I hope it doesn't take long, here you go. I have corrected my dimension to sales. saved myself from a big scolding, and added the business group office here. So that was about the first two part of my dimensions, the new working features. One is that I have now allowance on my code mandatory dimension fee, and I can correct the mistakes on dimensions that I have made at the time of posting a journal or an invoice. Doesn't matter, but I can come and correct it. There's one more update that did.
Sorry, Garima, that feature there is something that clients have been asking for a while, isn't it?
That's absolutely right, Dennis, because it was like once logged in, once gone, nobody could have changed it. You got to reverse and do all that activity, but here you go. Your ledger entry remains as it is. The only thing that changes is the dimension, and you can have a record of it as well. You come here, uh, and you can see the history. So you know what all you did.
Yeah, it's very powerful because we all make mistakes in our day-to-day, especially when we're under time pressure and so forth. And having this sort of ability is very good indeed.
Yep, 100% agree. You can see here three dimensions mentioned here. Now, this was a small update that I think was meant to be in April, came quite earlier, but I just wanted to mention that if you have mentioned all your dimensions in your ledger and ledger setup, very quick thing that I really wanted to show you guys, that in general ledger setup, for example, all the dimensions that you mention here are now visible in your ledger entries as well. All what is there comes in here. You do not have to enter or select or do any extra mechanism out there. It's just there. You set it up there, you receive it here. That was a small one. I know it came earlier, was meant to come here. So yeah, just ending note on my first topic, that's working with dimensions. Let's now quickly have a look at the undo feature of bank reconciliation, a very popular one again. It also came a little bit, few months earlier, which was expected to actually come in April, but still it has a small surprise that I said in the beginning. So we'll have a look at that now. I'm going to go back to my home screen so that I can properly switch my topic. And it's time for doing a bank rec. So I'm coming here. And in my bank reconciliation, you can see I have done few there, but I have already created a bank rec ready for us to perform and have a look at the actual undo feature. That's my statement lines all uploaded. That's my ledger entries all ready for me to perform the reconciliation. In order to perform the reconciliation, now I'm going to do the matching so that I can then go and post it and do the next bit. So I come here in matching. I have got the ability to match it manually or automatically. Let me just be lazy and do the automatic matching. Okay. Ideally, it's 2 days, but I'm being very generous here, allowing 10 days. Yep. Here you go. All the greens, happy times. And the little thing that I said, the little surprise is this match details. This has come now in April. Now this was not released before, just like the undo one. So this match details. So you need to highlight the statement line and click on match details. Now what it does is it actually gives you the proper detail of what has happened in the bank account ledger entry and what it has gone and matched against. So it's a very good insight when you want to do that sanity check on the statement lines and the matching with the account ledger entries. Alrighty, that was a quick one. I feel I'm really happy. I have done all my checking. Everything looks good here. So now I am going to go and post this. Time to post my reconciliation. Yep. Just not a pleasant sight. Just give me one moment. Okay, this is not allowing me to do some things that I really want to. So that is my balance. Yep. Okay, I'm not going to waste time on this one at the moment because I've already done another bank reconciliation ready for us to dig into. So I think I have conveyed the message that I wanted. So I'm just going to come back to it. And in the bank accounts, I'm going to go in my bank account where I performed a reconciliation before, into my bank account, go to statements. And here are few that are already done and ready for us if something like that would have happened anyway. Just one of those days. Alrighty, so that's my bank account number. And you see here, this is what I have been talking about, the undo bit. So this statement, I realized I have done some mistake and there's something that has not gone through properly. I can now come and click this button. What it does is it reverses it from here, takes it out. You won't be able to see that anymore into bank statement list, but it goes to the bank correct page automatically for us to perform the correction. Once I click on undo, asking me the questions, yes, please do so. And here you go. That's my bank rec. I can do all what I want to do with the correction and I'm ready there. Once I have done all my needful stuff, I can come here and post it again. Yep, once I have posted, if you remember, it was statement number 2 or 3 before. It has now turned to 10. The statement number does change, definitely, but then the previous one just gets removed. So you can have that list, a proper one that what all went correct is there on my bank account statement list. Alrighty, so that was my second bit of bank rec undo feature. And after having a walkthrough of the dimension bit, the bank rec bit, let's now have a look at the Teams integration with Business Central. So I'm going to open my Teams now. Let's come out of Business Central for a few minutes. That's my Teams. Now you can see I have a demo user here. We all have been struggling in the past year with all what we have been through and working from home, sort of a world now. Teams have been our best friend, I can say, especially with the work environment. So from Teams, we can now access all the contact list of Business Central, all those customers, vendors, all the relational data that we have set it up into our Business Central environment. And having said that, let's explore some scenarios on how that integration would work. Now for the first one, let me book a calendar using contacts into Business Central. I'm not going to open Business Central at all in any other screen right now. I'll be sitting in my Teams and doing the job. I have to book a calendar booking with one of my customers for tomorrow. So I have created this new meeting thing already, but I definitely need the required attendees details. How do I get that? I go in my search. I say @Business Central, and that's my app that gets pinged on my search bar. You see, it already says search for business contacts, and it also tells me which company I am in. So I know where I'm searching my contacts to if I hold multiple companies out there. All right. Now, in this one, I'm going to search for one of my customers to see and have a review of the services that I provided to them. I'm going to have a look at my School of Fine Arts. That's my customer. Here you go. And lately, I have been in quite good contact and relationship with Megan Bond. So I want to speak to her. You see, a customer of School of Fine Arts came in, and the contact associated with that Megan Bond came in. Now, this customer, I want to have a look at the details first. I can see the email address I can book in, but let's have a look at the details. It is quite evident from the screen right now that it is going into Business Central and searching the information for me. Here you go. That's how the contact card you anyway see in Business Central. I can see it here too. Because I am lazy, as I said again, I just want to have a copy paste of my email. So I clicked on Edit button. And I'm going to select this email address to book the meeting. But this is an important piece of information mentioned here, that this particular customer of mine is sitting in Miami. Alrighty, that means that I have to consider their time zone in order to have my review of the services provided. I've got my email address, basic information. I can dig in more into it. The whole contact information comes in, but let me just stay with my email address right now. I'm going to close it. I've got my required information. Yep, thank you so much. Review meeting. I can say, let's catch up to discuss the latest services, whatever. After I have done that, I have the ability to set up the time zone and select whatever I need to, but I'm just going to leave it right like that for me so that I have the proper visibility here. And here you go. We have created nice calendar meeting with Megan, sitting in Teams, getting information from Business Central. How cool is that? Now, once I'm in the meeting with Megan, there's something that I want to pick and get information about. And she has requested a sales code. If we want to have a sales code created, how would we do that? That's our scenario number 2. You see here, I've already set up my Business Central and have pinged in here. I'm gonna now look at my School of Finance, my my customer, not the contact, but the actual customer here. Okay, I have got 2 options here. If I select pop out, it will get opened in my browser, but I just want to do whatever I need to do into Teams. So I click on details. And that's my card ready for me. I can see that there are some invoices have been sent, some statements, some order confirmation and all that stuff. So I know the history of what's happening there. I can have a look at that. I've got their official email addresses and so forth. But right now I want to send them a sales code as per the meeting request description that I just talked about. Alrighty. How do we create that? We go in process, create a sales code. So sitting in Teams, I'm doing that. Okay, so my sales code screen of Business Central, which I would ideally see there, is ready for me in here in order to be created. I have got ability to send it by email, attach as PDF, and if I say print, it prints it for me. So sitting in Teams, I have now got this one up. Alrighty. So that was about my second scenario. There's a third scenario that I wanted to talk about, and that would be my last scenario for this integration discussion and demonstration. And that would be that my internal staff member has asked me some information for this particular company. I've sent that already to my staff, but they haven't received it properly. Let me send it again to them. Okay, so I type my message. Hello, Aman. Please find the information as requested. Thank you very much. Two things that could be done. I can click here or add the rate Business Central. It says it's going to go there and look information for me. Thank you. I'm going to set this vendor information to my colleague Amandeep. So it's Fabricam. Fetching the information from Business Central. Here you go. We find that proper information and the card here. When we click on it, my colleague didn't get that before. I hope she gets it now. So once I have created that, I'm going to hit enter. And the card is sent, not hopping here and there on the screens on the windows. And there's the last thing that I really wanted to show is that being in this card, you can opt for pop out and a window gets opened here. Yep. And that's my login screen. And I straight away go to this contact card, not anywhere else. A direct connection has been established. So this was about a small demonstration of Teams and Business Central integration and the enlisted agenda for today. I'm gonna now hand over to Dennis for the further presentation.
Thank you, Garima. Thank you for that presentation there. You know, I've seen the evolving integrations that Microsoft are delivering through their applications, and that Teams during the lockdown and remote working and so forth, internally at PA, Teams basically became our email area, and also with some outside customers who we can integrate with, and Microsoft, what they're delivering, what I saw a few months ago to what we're seeing today in their Teams and Outlook and how it all interacts with their applications is just phenomenal. The amount of where they're investing all their money and bringing all that efficiency into an organization so that we're all connected as required and be able to get information as we're allowed to, because obviously still have security roles and security that stops people from doing certain things, but giving people the information and the access and the ability to do their job effectively without having to go around and talk to many people to do that. And this takes us back to that original diagram that we had earlier, where we talked about the three clouds and how they're coming together. With the Microsoft 365, what Garima touched on there, which one of the components of is Teams in terms of the interaction. And most of you, if you're on a Microsoft platform, would probably have that sort of area. And then the Dynamics 365, the application Business Central, how it interacts with the Microsoft 365 cloud and platform. And then it's Microsoft Azure underneath, driving all that grunt and all the ability to deliver that, and moving forward that way there. This area of the three clouds and so forth is fantastic, but it is causing some questions around licensing and how do we license all this and how we bring this together. And we've got someone who's licensing our Microsoft 365. We've got another partner who's licensing our Dynamics. Someone else is looking after our Azure. And that's just because of the evolution that's happened and so forth. And how can Professional Advantage assist you in this area here? Just quickly then, and before we touch on what we can offer you in this whole area of licensing, I'm just checking some questions, and we've got a couple of questions here, but one of the questions from one of our participants, Robinson, Garima has asked, when you were doing the dimensions presentation, can the dimension only be changed in the current open month?
No, Dennis. You can go back in time and change the dimension as well. It all depends on how you have set it up, allowed postings and all that stuff. But if you are completely in that open space where you can go back in time and do it, then you can go back and change it.
Excellent. Great. Robinson, I hope that answers your question. There's another question posed, anonymous one, so that's always a good one. How does it log the dimension change? As we have a journal approval in our workflow, before a journal can be posted, does it log what the original transaction was, and then what the amendment and who made that change, Garima?
So it doesn't affect the journal as a complete one. If you remember a few minutes back, I showed that there is a history kept there for correcting the for all the corrected dimensions. So it sort of stays there, and it is only affecting that dimension part of it, not your accounts, not your amount, nothing, just that little area, and that's why it has got its own area where it tells you the history, and then user can be added there as well, and like who changed it, and there's always change log set up where it tells you in detail who changed what in the system. That's it.
Thank you for that. And look, and that question was posed by Maria. I've just seen the name, so thank you, Maria. Look, due to time, we may need to just take those other questions offline that we have here, and we will come back to you with some replies on and answers on that. Okay. Okay. If you need any information or want to follow up anything, please speak to your account manager. Or if you don't have an account manager, please reach out to myself. There's my details on there. But okay. So what I was saying earlier was, with all the licensing and so forth, how can Professional Advantage assist organizations in making sure that we're licensing the Microsoft technology platform effectively, efficiently, and in the best cost manner possible? And what we propose to do, and what we're doing with our clients, we have a number of clients now that are coming to Professional Advantage to become the sole Microsoft Cloud solution provider in terms of licensing. And what we've found, we just did one recently where an organization who was using Dynamics 365, they were using Business Central, asked our licensing people to come in and review the way that they have Office 365, the way they use Azure and so forth. And with some minor changes and PA taking responsibility of that whole licensing model as the sole cloud solution provider, we were able to save over $75,000 per annum for this organization. And it was nothing major. It was just the way, unfortunately, because it was all done in piecemeal and in silos over time, we were able to consolidate that into an area and change the plan slightly so that people were able to save that side of it. And so we want to make an analysis session available to people on the call, or if you're not the right person to undertake that, please forward this through to the right people through that area. And what we'll do, we will share that link with you so that you're able to access that link, register, and then someone will be in contact with you to organize this analysis session. As part of this also, Professional Advantage, working with our clients who bring all this licensing together, we have what we call the Client Adoption Service Program, or as in IT, we have acronyms everywhere. It's called the CAS program. And so the CAS program is where we work with our organizations, but also give back to our organizations. And so as part of the CAS program, the Client Adoption Service Program, organizations are utilizing 10% of their total Microsoft subscription spend, and we're putting that back into the organization so they can use that for project work, for consulting work, for proof of concepts, for pilots, for programs, consulting work that they would have paid for in the past. They're able to use this CAP allowance that we push back to them, and it's been a great success for our clients because it has enabled some of our clients who may not have had the budget to do something to be able to now undertake that because they have this money banked up in terms of the cash offer through that process. So please look, if you're the right person, register. Otherwise, share this internally with your organization, and we are more than happy to just come out and do a 1-hour analysis and work out how you're licensing today and how we brought it all together under Professional Advantage as your cloud service provider across the 3 clouds, how we're able to assist you in that area. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. And again, thank you very much. Any questions, please reach out.